And that is what? Who do you identify as?
Body.
Yeah, we identify as a temporary material body, but that actually isn't us. And we spend all of our time, or a significant portion of our time, trying to meet the demands of the body. But really, in reality, if that's not us, what are we doing a majority of the time? Someone you have to know, right? You're wasting the time, right? If you're doing something in the majority of the time that's not in a reality, we're wasting that time. Like, I'll give you an example. Sometimes when you do a project at work, you might try so many things to try and figure out how to do this project. But all you had to do is ask your coworker, and your coworker actually knew exactly what to do. And then you just wasted all that time doing all that other stuff, but your coworker over there actually is like, no, you just need to do this, X, Y, Z, whatever formula he's got. And then you figure it out, and then you move on. You're like, oh, wow. And you kind of lament, like, wow, I can't believe I wasted all that time. I wasted like 2 hours doing that, but all I had to do is ask that guy over there. So that's actually like what we're doing. We're spending so much time trying to be happy, right? Is there anyone here not trying to endeavor to be happy in life? Who here is saying, no, I don't want to be happy? You know how I know you're trying to endeavor to be happy? Because you're alive. Because you're a living entity. Every living entity is seeking pleasure. And everyone is doing everything that they're doing because they think it's going to give them pleasure. But unfortunately, there's a way to get pleasure. There's a science to pleasure. You can't just do anything and everything and get pleasure. Like, for instance, we sometimes see people do things that we're just like shocked, like, why are you doing that? That's not going to give you a good result. Does anyone know a few people like that? They do crazy things and you're just like,
I am that person.
yeah, so that's, I wouldn't say you're that person. I haven't seen you do anything where I'm like, oh God, and I've been living with you for a few weeks now. But I've, you see people sometimes, like, someone maybe who's using hard drugs or, doing like, carrying guns around in places they probably shouldn't, or, just things that are like quite like, that's really dangerous. But now on a lesser scale, we're not, maybe we're not doing hard drugs. Maybe we're not, being excessively violent or doing foolish things like that. But we may also be not using our time the best way that we could. So we're trying to actually give everyone a formula in which, hey, if you use your time in this way, you'll actually have the best chance of getting pleasure. This is the real source of pleasure here. Actually, when you try Hari Rama, what does Rama mean? Yeah, the reservoir of all pleasure. So, just like when you want water, where do you go to get water? A reservoir of water. So if you want pleasure, where do you think you go get pleasure? Yeah, you get the reservoir of pleasure. And speaking of reservoir of pleasure, it's been a big week for the name Rama, right, in India. Ayodhya just got Rama back in his birth. Worship is now permittable in the place of his appearance for the first time in how many years? 500 and...
500.
Exactly 500 years?
496.
496, so something like this. So, yeah. And how happy you guys all are. I'm noticing. I'm like, I'm Ram Dass. I should be happier about this. But I actually don't have as much cultural attachment as you guys do. I don't have as much cultural, association. I haven't felt kind of the oppression that you have culturally felt, and why you shouldn't have been able to worship there for so long. So anyway, that's not what the class is about today, but Jai Shri Ram. So, We are on 4-5 of the Bhagavad Gita. Oh no, I'm 6-5. 6-5. We're just going to do the English for the first two verses. And I'm going to share the screen here. Now you guys. Okay. So we're going to chant all together. But actually, can I just have someone read the English? 6-5. Actually, Parth, can I have you read the English?
A man must elevate himself by his own mind, not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well.
So, a man must elevate himself by his own mind, not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. And number 6-6, maybe Nitesh, you could read for us. Can you see it?
For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his very mind will be the greatest enemy.
Oh. Do you know you were living with your best friend, your potential best friend, and your greatest enemy? You guys are all aware? Yeah, it's better. It's just something we should be aware with, that our mind is for one who's conquered the mind. Who here feels they've conquered the mind? Oh crap. So none of us are living with our best friend. But for one who has failed to do so, who feels that they have failed to do so? Oh crap. So who are we living with? Our greatest enemy, actually. You are not you, but the you think you are is your own worst enemy. So your thinking machine is your worst enemy, the mind. So, we have to do something about this. Does anyone feel like, no, that's not true?
I was just going to say sometimes my mind's kind of cool and then other times it's like bipolar.
Yeah. So, yeah, when you like your mind is when you control the mind. When you control the mind is when you like the mind. It acts as your friend. But when you don't control the mind, yeah, it's the greatest enemy. So what do? We have to do something. So we are going to read this verse, 6-7. Go to the Sanskrit. Ready? Jitatmana prashantasya Paramatma samahita Shitoshna sukha dukeshu Tathamana pamanayo. Let me hear one of you guys.
Jitatmana prasantasya
Chitatmana prashantasya
Paramatma samahita
Paramātmā samāhitā
Shitoshna sukha dukeshu
Tatha manapamanayo. One more. Hopefully a lady.
Jitatmana prashantasya
Jitatmana prashantasya
Paramatma
Paramatma
samahita
samāhitā
Shitoshna sukha dukkeshu
Shitoshna sukha dukeshu
Tatha
Tathamana. Jai. So, for one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached. For he has attained tranquility, which is peace. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. And then Prabhupada, purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, he says, actually every living entity is intended to abide by the dictation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. When the mind is misled by the external illusory energy one becomes entangled in material activities. Therefore, as soon as one's mind is controlled through one of the yoga systems, one is to be considered as having already reached the destination. One has to abide by superior dictation. When one's mind is fixed on the superior nature, he has no other alternative but to follow the dictation of the Supreme. The mind must admit some superior dictation and follow it. The effect of controlling the mind is that one automatically follows the dictation of the Paramatma, or the Supersoul, because this transcendental position is at once achieved by one who is in Krishna consciousness, the devotee of the Lord, is unaffected by the dualities of material existence, namely distress and happiness, cold and heat, etc. This state is practical samadhi, or absorption in the Supreme. So again, for one who has conquered the mind, the Supersoul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. So, I'm going to do something quick. Get the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita here. Let me see if this is better. Hare Krishna. Does this work? Hare Krishna. Is it amplifying me? Okay. Let me see. Is that better? No. All right. Oh, that's tight. Okay. Let's chant these mantras all together. You can read them up here. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamritamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhani Sute Devi Namami Hari Priye. This one is honoring each other as the spiritual devotees of the Lord. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. This one will honor Srila Prabhupada. It's not up here, but if you know it, Bell sang it before. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vaishnatyadi Shatarine. Now up here again. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All together. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai. So, if we remember, one of the important conclusions that we may have made here is that we have not conquered our mind, and therefore, due to not conquering our mind, we are also living very intimately with our greatest enemy, which is that very mind. Actually, most of us think we're that mind. That's how great of an enemy it is. It's completely deluded you into thinking that you're something you're not. So, we read the purport here, how actually we have to follow some authority. We need some dictation. Either your mind is going to be a slave to whatever it's attracted to, whatever the senses want. Like Bhagavad Gita compares the senses to like 5 different horses pulling you in different ways. You know, so what you smell, what you see, what are the other senses? Taste, what you can taste, what you can touch. Yeah, we said that one. Sound, what you can hear. So these things are going to be pulling us in different directions. And then the mind, it contemplates on those things. It's like, ooh, that'll taste really good. Or, ooh, that'll feel really good. Or, ooh, this thing and that thing. And then you'll contemplate on it, and then you run after it. Right? This is how it works. So this is our problem. We're contemplating so many things that ultimately can never factually give us happiness. And why? Why can they never give us happiness? Because they're temporary. Because they're just like they come, then they go. You're like, oh crap. Well, I'll find another thing. And you do this over many, many years, but then what? What happens? Meg, oh my God, Meghna. She just said you'd die. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's actually the truth. You do. You do it so long, but also before you die, usually like your facilities for enjoying the senses, they just get worse and worse and worse and worse. And what do they call that? Old age, yeah. And there's another thing that might happen that also could even inhibit that even at a younger age. But it really makes old age even worse. Disease, yeah, you get like some diseases and it's like, oh God. Actually, you usually get diseases from the things you contemplate the senses about. You know, like for instance, if you really like to taste things, there's all kinds of diseases that you get just from tasting the wrong things. If you really like to enjoy certain pleasures, there's all kinds of diseases that you can get, like STDs, for instance. You know, like there's so many STDs out there, and so on. Actually, I'm pretty sure, like most of America, like if you've ever had a cold sore, I know I had a cold sore. It's like actually like an STD that just like almost all of America has, and it's just like, oh great, you know. So, but there's just there's so many things out there, and there's a system where if you exploit the senses and, you know, don't control the mind, then there's what? What happens? What result is that? What's that? Yeah, eventually you perish, but even before that. Like, I'll give you an example. What if I'm a married man. But there's so many beautiful women out there, not just my wife. My wife is not the only beautiful woman in the world. What if I like really start contemplating on all these other beautiful women out there? And then I decide, you know what, maybe I should try and she's looking at me. Then maybe I should try and, try and see if I can initiate something with another woman. And I don't control my mind and then she catches me. What will happen to me? I might die. That might be the end of me. But at the very least, I'm going to suffer some kind of wrath. There will be some kind of...
And someone else is going to suffer.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm also causing suffering to her, which is also going to be my karma that I'll have to get that back later on when we cause suffering to other living entities. It doesn't go unnoticed by the Lord's system. He's like, okay. You repeatedly make these living entities suffer? Okay, don't worry. So there'll be a retribution for that. It's called karma, right? So we have to be, we should be a bit wise with what we do. We should be very wise with where is our mind pulling us? Most people don't even know. They don't even understand that the mind is dictating them. Like I said, they think they're the mind. Actually, many of us may be walking in the door today. I theoretically know that I'm not my mind. But what's actually dictating why I do most things I do is my mind. So yoga, as Krishna tells shortly before this, he tells Arjuna to be a yogi. Yoga is processes to control the mind. So as bhakti yogis, how do we control our mind in bhakti?
So we engage everything, our mind in the devotional service.
Yes. And
So
we engage the mind in acts of devotional love. This is bhakti yoga. But there's also, there's pure bhakti yoga, where everything's pure devotional love, and then there's most likely where we're at, where you have to engage in processes of also karma yoga, jnana yoga, or maybe karma mishra bhakti yoga, or jnana mishra bhakti, mixed karma and bhakti. So we have to, but we should practice yoga. There should be some time. That doesn't mean like, all right, everyone, we have to do, all right, cat and cow, or, extended side angle. We have so many, that's a form of yoga. That's actually part of the Ashtanga yoga, the eightfold yoga system. Actually, Krishna is about to teach Arjuna a little Ashtanga yoga. Also in the Bhagavatam, you can get taught some Ashtanga yoga. But ultimately, Krishna keeps revealing over and over again that the highest, most complete yoga is the Bhakti yoga. And so, but he gives all the processes of yoga, they all work, they all have incredible benefit, but there's no benefit, and actually all the other yoga systems are being fueled and powered by bhakti, actually by one's faith in the first place in the system. Faith in that there is a divine technical system somewhere. That's actually powered by bhakti. It itself is bhakti. But when you do just that process of bhakti, which is approaching the supreme in love, in devotion, it's like a cheat code. You can just skip over so many, it's like your coworker telling you the secret, like, who here has parents? Am I the only one? And if you don't have parents anymore, that's okay. That's a natural part of life, actually. Did you ever watch your parents use technology? Sometimes you cringe, ooh, you're doing it like that. And then when your parents wise up a little bit, they see Mukunda's son is he's brilliant with technology. So when Mukunda realizes that he's not going to cut it anymore, he's like, hey, Augusto, how do you do this over here? And then Augusto's just like, oh, you just have to use all these formulations. And next thing you know, you're just like, oh my God, wow. Udit is that for me. I'm doing things like a grandpa, and Udit just like, no, just do it like this. I'm like, oh, wow. All right. So actually, this is like the spiritual master, the spiritual teacher, even like Krishna, the Shastra. We have all these ways we're doing things in life, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to search for pleasure like this. I'm going to search for pleasure like this. The reality of the situation, if you just took some proper guidance, they'll just no, just, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing it like that. Just come here, I'll help you out. And next thing you're like, wow, that's much better. That's like living a life like practicing yoga. That's living a life like following a higher authority of the Shastras. So I'm actually, I wanted to read something today. And whether, every time I bring my nice trusty Bhagavatam, and I'm like, yes, we're going to read from it, but then we have to do something foundational, and next thing you know, questions happen, and then we don't do any Bhagavatam. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen today. But I do want to share something. So go to the introduction of the Ishopanishad part. So this is Srila Prabhupada's introduction to the Isha Upanishad. And this is actually from a lecture he did in 1969 in London. And I'm going to read like the first few paragraphs to you guys. So he says, ladies and gentlemen, today's subject matter is the teachings of the Vedas. What are the Vedas? The Sanskrit verbal root of Veda can be interpreted variously, but the purport is finally one. Veda means knowledge. Any knowledge you accept is Veda, for the teachings of the Vedas are the original knowledge. In the conditioned state, our knowledge is subjected to many deficiencies. The difference between a conditioned soul and a liberated soul is that the conditioned soul has 4 kinds of defects. The first defect is that he must commit mistakes. Does anyone feel that they're beyond that defect? They don't commit mistakes? None of you? You all feel like some mistakes are being made? Yeah, we make plenty of mistakes. Just part of your conditioned nature of being not a fully controlled, enlightened being. We make mistakes. For example, in our country, Prabhupada says Mahatma Gandhi was considered to be a very great personality, but he committed many mistakes. Even at the last stage of his life, his assistant warned Mahatma Gandhi, don't go to the New Delhi meeting. I have some friends and I've heard there is danger. But he did not hear. He persisted in going and was killed. Even great personalities like Mahatma Gandhi, President Kennedy. This is all relevant in the 60s because this is when they were actually murdered at this time. Both of them, Gandhi and President Kennedy. There are so many of them. Make mistakes. To err is human. This is one of the defects of the conditioned soul. Another defect, to be illusioned. Illusion means to accept something which is not. Maya. Maya means what is not. Everyone is accepting the body as the self. If I ask what you are, you will say, I am Mr. John, I am a rich man, I am this, I am that. All these are bodily identifications. But you are not this body. This is illusion. Does anyone feel like they walk around all the time not identifying with their body? Anyone here? What's that?
Maybe when dreaming.
Yeah, maybe when dreaming. But unfortunately, even when we're dreaming, we're usually also doing that. But this is our problem. We're thinking, oh, I'm a man. I'm this person, that person. This is my social security number. Here's the number of my body. Here's the tax ID number of my body. We have all these designations for our body. But actually, before Prajata, when you, how old are you? 26. Ah, very nice. So 28 years ago, who were you? No one. Are you sure?
Another soul.
You were another soul.
Not another person, another body.
You were in another body.
Yeah.
You were the same soul, correct?
Yeah, same soul.
Yeah, same soul, but you were in another body. So 28 years ago, you were doing. So what do you tell me? How much relevant is that body to you right now? Your 28-year-old body.
Not.
Oh, you don't use anything to do with your 28-year-old body? Yeah, me neither. I'm 31. I still kind of use this 28-year-old body, but 33 years ago, I don't know what my body was. I don't use it anymore. So this is actually the reality is your body is not that I'm just, this isn't like some masochist type of thing or just like hate your body. But there's so much in the news about loving your body. And I'm not telling you to not love your body, but how do we really love our body? We have to use it for its highest function. What's its highest function? Is to use it in yoga, to use it in self-realization. Use it as a tool, because that's what it is. It's a tool to make advancement for the soul. Just like many of you guys drive, right? Piyush just showed up in a really nice new car today. I was like, wow, Piyush, that looks good. But Piyush he knows, he's like, oh, it's just a rental car. Like he knows that he's not the car and that that car is a temporary situation. He told me like right away. But do you guys know that your body's a rental machine as well? You got about like 100-year lease you signed at birth. If you're lucky. If you're lucky. Some of us signed a lesser lease. You know, we don't know who's who and what kind of lease we signed. It's a little complicated. But yeah, we're leasing out our body. And we're leasing out our we're not leasing our mind, actually. We get to keep the mind. The conditioned soul gets to keep the mind. It goes from lifetime to lifetime, bewildering us, acting as our greatest enemy. Oh yeah.
And intelligence, they're carried over.
Yeah, mind, intelligence, and false ego, they get carried over. But it's called the subtle body. But the physical, the gross body, yeah, you're just leasing that right now. So yeah, this is the illusion. We're living in like a complete, just if we think about how often we are doing things purely related to the body, it's like a lot, like a ton on just identifying with the body. So that means that large percent that we just talked about, I am living an illusion. Does anyone like to hear that? Oh, I'm living an illusion a large percent of my life. Who here is like, I'm glad to hear that. Actually, the person seeking enlightenment actually might get encouraged, like, wow, holy crap. I know I got like, I'm a little bit like dark like that. I got like a little excited. Like, yeah, I got like a little excited to be, but that, for me, it meant like, wow, that means I can do so many things so much better. If I'm like crap in the bed 60% of the time or 80% of the time, I can like totally clean that up, So anyway, this is what we're trying to like actually do. We don't, everyone agree that like maybe living an illusion isn't like the ideal like place to be? Not everyone? Projecta's like, yes. Good. But as everyone, not everyone has the same enthusiasm. Is everyone thinking like, yes? Anyone here arguing for illusion? Nobody? Yeah, you guys say that now, and then I'll watch how you guys all act after this, and we'll see. And me too. Okay, so first two, we make mistakes and we're illusioned. And the third defect is the cheating propensity. Everyone has the propensity to cheat others. Although a person is fool number one, he poses himself as very intelligent. That's me. Although it is already pointed out that he is an illusion and makes mistakes, he will theorize, I think this is this. This is this. There's a lot of I think people. If you hear like I think, just be like careful with that person. Like, a lot of their own things going on there. Their greatest enemy is really active. Yeah, you'll get my humor. But he does not even know his own position. He writes books of philosophy, although he is defective. That is his disease. That is cheating. Yeah, did you ever have a phase in your life where you were really opinionated? I know I'm still kind of a little too opinionated, for like, I read this stuff and I'm like, oh God, I shouldn't have so many opinions, like about these things. But yeah, that disease is that you're kind of like cheating. You're trying to represent like that you know something you have no idea about. Actually, that was how I entered spiritual life. I was like, I was a really arrogant atheistic person, actually. And I was like, kind of cheating everyone in one sense by pretty much, I realized, and there was valid concerns, that the religion I grew up with had some concerning activities going on in it. One, me nor any of my family nor any of my peers practicing it really had like no taste or anything. It wasn't, really doing it for a lot of us. I feel like we were just running through the motions. And then two, there was a bunch of people who were heading the religion were doing like really crazy things, so that we're just like, oh my God, like children and stuff like that. So so for me, I had a, well, like, I think I've been cheated. I think I've been hoodwinked here. I don't think any of this is real. I already had so many doubts, and then just seeing stuff like that, and that was enough to throw me off the course. But so then I started arguing for the better solution, science. And, there's like atheistic ways of viewing the world. Even in the Vedas, there are atheistic philosophical views. Not recommended. But, so I argued heavily for them. And by good fortune, because I was atheistic and I was finally forging my own guidance, and I was like, I'm going to find my way through the world. I got it figured out now. I knew that they were leading me wrong, but like, I can do this the right way. So one of the really intelligent things that my mind convinced me would be a good idea is like, yeah, you should do psychedelic drugs. This is how you can reach some enlightenment. Because I wanted to know the truth. I did want to know. I think that's why the Lord rewarded me in this life with finding this knowledge, because I kept searching for it. But anyway, so I would do different psychoactive drugs like LSD, and I like the more natural ones. They were like less intense. Yeah, like marijuana and magic mushrooms and things like that. The ones that like were made in a lab, they like really tweaked you out and like, so you don't want any drugs unnecessarily. But anyway, so I this was my greatest enemy, convinced me to try all these psychedelic drugs. So actually though, one time I tried something called like dimethyltryptamine. I don't know if you're familiar with this. What's that? DMT they call it. Yeah, it's Joe Rogan. He makes a big stink about this. And if you don't know Joe Rogan, he's like the most popular Netflix guy, or not Netflix, podcast guy. Yeah, actually, I say Netflix because I learned about this thing from Joe Rogan on a Netflix documentary he hosted before he did the podcasting stuff called DMT, the Spirit Molecule. But I didn't believe in a spirit, so I was like, that doesn't resonate with my almighty opinion that I have that God, there is no spiritual, because sometimes we can put our opinions on a pedestal. We think we know so much, but actually we don't know very much of anything at all. So anyway, doing my hard drugs. Actually, this drug is very interesting because it can actually like force you to have like an out-of-body experience, and I did not think that was possible. I am this body. This was my opinion, my almighty opinion. And so I won't get into the details so much. But yeah, I learned very vividly that you can leave this body. And that there's no doubt in my consciousness, and the Vedas confirmed what I experienced, that yep, you can leave the body. And so I won't exactly go into all the details of what I experienced outside of the body, but I actually went from an atheistic view to a theistic view very quickly by what I experienced outside of the body. And that's why I'm here, actually. That like was the snapping point for like my pursuit of the truth. There's a rapid change of direction. But it did lead me here, so I'm grateful for it. But I did stop all the drugs, and I did stop all of the reliance on my own opinion. One of the most wonderful things about that experience, and if I could share any lesson that you could also hopefully take from it, is I was severely humbled. I was severely humbled to the point of realizing I don't know anything. I thought I know so much. I think I know so much. I don't know anything. Like, nothing. And that actually was the great blessing that was given to me, because that allowed me to actually seek and want to hear and search for knowledge. So this is what Prabhupada we're going to get to. Lastly, our senses are imperfect. We're very proud of our eyes. Often someone will challenge, can you show me God? But do you have the eyes to see God? You will never see if you haven't the eyes. I'll give you an example of this. Did you ever scroll down your Facebook feed and you find one of those pictures and it's like once you see it, you know, you can't unsee it type of thing? You guys have seen this before, right? These are modern meme things. Yeah, but like once you see, you know, or like where's Waldo? Has anyone ever done that? But once you see where Waldo is, you can't unsee it. You always know where Waldo is. But like sometimes when you're looking at it, you're like, I can't find that for anything. I don't know what they're all talking about. This is an example. Do you have the eyes to actually see? So this is what Prabhupada's saying. You will never see if you haven't the eyes. If immediately the room becomes dark, you cannot even see your hands. So what power do you have to see? We cannot therefore expect knowledge, Veda, with these imperfect senses. With all these deficiencies in conditioned life, we cannot give perfect knowledge to anyone, nor are we ourselves perfect. Therefore we accept the Vedas as they are. So this is why these four... Does anyone think that they have perfect senses? That they're seeing everything in a situation? Like you guys here, I have 20/20 vision. My seeing's perfect. Right? They say this. Prana, you're a scientist, right? Who else? Anyone else a scientist in here? No. I could tell Partha is not a scientist. He's a spiritual scientist. Actually, now Partha is a madman who just dances and jumps and chants all the time. That actually means he's making a lot of advancement. So, okay, but modern science, they study these things. They have many, many technological devices, you know, telescopes and things like that. They can magnify things that you cannot ever see with your ordinary senses. You've heard of this? Right? Yeah. Like things that can see infrared, you know, light rays and things like that the human eye could never see, but the scientific technology can see. So what percentage of regular human vision to scientific technology, what percentage do you think the human being can see? No, that's far too high. What's that? It's almost zero. The scientific technology is so strong in what it can see that your senses can see 0% practically of that. And guess what? You want to know how much the scientific knowledge can't see? It's infinite. As far as all scientists are concerned, they're reaching conclusions that this is an infinite thing here. The cosmology is infinite. This is all, we can't measure this all. So, how much do we really know? How much are we really perceiving? Zero, like almost nothing. Your eyes even. What I'm taking in the room right now, I'm seeing 0%. So, hearing is the same thing with the scientific technologies. Hearing 0%. So we should be humble. We should admit at first, step one, I don't know anything. And then you can know something. It's a common adage. What if I said, the more you know, the more you realize, the less you know. Yeah, common adage. The more you know, the more you realize, the less you know. So unless we come to that very humble position, we'll never, ever, ever be able to receive knowledge. We'll never have the eyes or the ears to even take in knowledge. So we have to come to this humble position. And so this is why we accept some authority. And we accept the Vedas as authority. Who is the speaker and compiler of the Vedas? What's that? I hear like a lot of mumbles, but no one's confident. All this, you guys don't know anything, is getting to everyone. Veda Vyas. Veda Vyas is the compiler that we know of as the Vedas, of the Vedas. He's the one who put it all into writing for us. But actually, Veda Vyas, where did he get the knowledge? And where did Brahma get the knowledge? Krishna. So this is the thing. Nobody's taking credit for the knowledge. But that's not how it goes in Kali Yuga and half the scientific field is all about, this is my paper and look what I discovered. Everyone they're trying, right, to establish themselves as the inventor or the person who has become. But Vedic knowledge is not like that. They're not the theorizer. They're just transmitting something divine. So we follow this Vedic knowledge, but I'm not saying to just blindly follow this Vedic knowledge. This is not wise, actually. You should be able to test this Vedic knowledge to some degree or another. It won't be perfect, and at some point you'll realize that, okay, I think I'll save a lot more time if I just trust it. But in the beginning, you might not have that faith. For me, I didn't have that faith. Like, well, the Vedas, isn't that like the Indian thing? And like, well, what do they know? Their country's so much less opulent than my country. There's no way. How could they have any figuring it out? But if you actually apply some of the teachings to your life, you get results. And you say, oh, that works. Oh, let me try something else. Oh, that worked too. And then you start to make some connections like, wait, maybe they got something figured out that I didn't realize. So try it out. Try it out. This is what we're here to convince you of. Just try. Just see. Krishna says so many things. Apply something to your life and see how it works. And I'll give you a realization that I've had. It works nicely. Like, your life will get better, I promise you. It's not... Prerna... actually, we met Prerna and Madhu at the same time. And... I'm just like watching like Prerna's life just get better and better and better. And I'm like, oh my God. I've only known her for 3 months, and just like, what a change of a person in just 3 months. I don't think I've ever seen a person change so much in 3 months. You're her roommate. You can testify.
Yeah.
Has it been weird to watch Prerna like apply these things every day?
It's been nice, not weird.
It's been nice. Yeah, that means like maybe Prerna was before this transformation. You've noticed it's done a lot of positive for her. Yeah, you've probably noticed that it's made her a lot happier.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then in turn, she probably treats you and everyone else a lot nicer too, right?
She always treated me.
I'm sure she did. I'm sure she did. But I'm sure she's able to even know how to be even nicer. That's, people will notice, My, a lot of my friends and family, they're not like they think it's totally weird what I'm doing. But they do notice that they actually like me better, like when I do this. Like that I actually like, wow. Like I don't ever want to do what he's doing, but like, I kind of like him better, like I have like better I could tell everyone like has like a better relationship with me than it like was before. And this actually works for anyone if you just try to apply some of these teachings, try to control the mind and know that you're living an uncontrolled mental life is actually your greatest enemy. It's setting you back. It's causing you every bit of your suffering. And guess what? It's not a secret that you're suffering. We all know. I know, you know, we know. We're all suffering. That's like the condition of this world, is that, we're not fully happy. We want to be fully happy, but we're not. We're suffering. Someone challenge me if I'm wrong.
It's rough happening.
Yeah, it's not easy. We're suffering, and that's okay. Like, you don't have to pretend. No, not me. No, yeah, me too. So this could be another Me Too movement. Like, I don't know if there's that bad taste. I don't even remember what the Me Too movement was in the first place. That's bad, but I'm just like thinking about that now. Yeah, we're all suffering out here. It sucks. But there's relief. not only that, there's more than relief. There's like like when you got to go to the bathroom, like, anyone experience this when you have to pee really bad? I love this example. Yeah, when you have to pee so bad, you're like, oh my God, I gotta get I had to pull over on the side of the road yesterday because I had to pee so bad. And I had to like fiddle my door in such a weird way. And I was like in the middle of nowhere. But there was a bunch of cars coming by. It was embarrassing actually, but I drank too much tea before I went out. Anyway, when you gotta go so bad and you try and you hold it in, you're just suffering more and more and more and more, and then eventually you can let it out and you're like, that's so much nicer. But it's not even really, there's not pleasure in that. It's just that you're not suffering anymore. But on top of not suffering anymore, we can actually have real pleasure. There's real pleasure in your devotional practices. There's real pleasure in the yoga system. It's teaching us how to have real pleasure. Not just I'm not suffering anymore. Thank God. Because as it's all admitted, we're all suffering. So what's to speak of pleasure? We're not really getting any pleasure right now because we're all still suffering. So we can get some relief. There's a peace formula mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. And actually, the verse we did today, by controlling the mind, we can know peace. And the super soul is reached. We can know tranquility. So let's control our mind. How much time do I have? Ooh, it's 1:06. Not much time. So, I've been reading in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm in something called the Uddhava Gita. You've heard of this Uddhava Gita? Do you guys know it's more important than the Bhagavad Gita?
Is it from the devotee?
Yes, Uddhava, this is being instructed, Krishna's instructions to Uddhava, and Uddhava is even a more dear devotee than Arjuna. So this is, I'll give you an example. Veda Vyas compiled all the Vedas. We all just came to that agreement. You said that, right, Udit? So Veda Vyas, that means he did the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, right? He compiled it down, he put it down.
I know about the Puran because when Narad Muni instructed him to write the Bhagavatam.
Yes, but we're talking about Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita, yeah.
Yeah, Veda Vyas put that one down. So he did all these Vedas, but when he got to the afterwards, does anyone know that he was lamenting? Yeah, he was lamenting. He was not satisfied. He's like, I actually didn't fully help them. I'm not satisfied. I put so many teachings down there. I gave the whole Mahabharata. I gave the whole Bhagavad Gita, which we're studying. This is very popular in Vedic thought, right? You guys hear of Bhagavad Gita? This is one of the core texts of Vedic understanding. But after all of that, he wasn't satisfied. Why? Because he actually didn't give everyone their real benefit. What's for their real benefit? He confused them with so many different things. Well, you can try like this, and you can try like this, and you can try this yoga path, you can try that yoga path, you can worship this deity here, you can worship this deity here, you can worship this deity. And he gave some hints of what, he should do, but he didn't give any clear instructions. So Narada, as you were saying, he came and appeared to Vedavyas, and he is his guru. He said, no, you didn't give one pure instruction on what's the best thing for a human to do. And that's complete devotion to the Supreme Lord. You gave some taste in Bhagavad Gita. I'm paraphrasing. But you didn't give any clear instruction. So actually that's what this is, Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the pure instruction as to what we should do for our best benefit. So we follow. This is said to be the cream of the Vedas. The cream, the topmost part of the Vedas. If you get milk, the cream is the best. You can make all the butter out of the milk. You can get the ghee from that. It's all the best part. So,
I have a question.
sure.
This yoga cycle, right? It was Vyas Day. So in every yoga cycle, is it same Vyas Day?
No. There's infinite variety. there may be someone like Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva himself might even go through multiple yuga cycles. I have no idea what the extent of his prowess is, but no, it's infinite, and there's infinite variety, and there may be a position of a Vyas, one who's to transcribe, but I can't imagine it's the same soul.
Is there a difference in the versions that they write, like of the Vedas in every Yuga cycle, or is it completely the same?
Well, no, it is different. Actually, in Satya Yuga, the Vedas, I believe, were just Om. Yeah, there's no need for all of this comprehensive Vedas. But the Vedas evolved the way they do because the people of each age, they need it explained a little bit more directly to them, and more and more and more. And that's one of the reasons the Bhagavatam is here. Even Bhagavad Gita came, because the Vedas, as Krishna will mention, will get lost time to time. So he'll come to reestablish them. So like this. But Vyas was completely satisfied after compiling the Bhagavatam. So, and there's many Gitas in the Bhagavatam, and one of the very important ones is the Uddhava Gita. And the Uddhava Gita, Krishna gives us so many elaborate instructions on how to control our mind, how to partake in this yoga process, how to, really maximize our life, what we're actually going to do in life, how to find the highest success. He does so many things. But in regard, there's just one verse. I'm going to leave us, maybe, I've been planning to do this class for like 3 weeks when I read it, but it just always something else happens. But I'm going to actually lead you to the point where we can maybe talk about it next week. And someone like Prerna will have to join online, because I think this is your last week, right? Yeah, you didn't even let us know. Oh, this is the last Sunday program or something. I'm just thinking about it right now.
I knew.
Okay. She knows everything over there in that kitchen. So, so anyway, there's so many things we could talk about. Okay, I think this is one. So there's a verse in the Bhagavatam. It says, Eta manoritha mayir hanyas yoch chavachas tanu gunasanga upadate kvachit kaschij jahaticha. The jiva, you, accepts high and low conditions in a body by desires in the mind. Remember that mental thing again. It's by your desires. Jake said it before too. By your desires in the mind, because of ignorance, which Madhu also said, because you're all on the right track here. Because of ignorance, sometimes a person can give up these conditions. So when you're fortunate, you can actually not be doing this moving up and down in samsara, which means creating more karma. You can actually become freed from it. So Krishna kind of tells us how this does it. And he talks about a way where we can kind of stop all these karmic reactions. And he talks about rapid tolerance. So this is something, I'm going to read these verses for you, just the English. An unintelligent man, failing to distinguish himself in truth from the body, which is made of Prakriti, or the material elements, by contact with Prakriti becomes absorbed in sense objects. We talked about it before, being absorbed in how we're going to engage the bodily senses, and enters into the cycle of material existence. He's made to wander because of his karma. The conditioned soul, by contact with sattva, takes birth among the sages or devatas. By contact with rajas, he becomes a demon or a human being. And by association with tamas, he takes birth as a ghost or in the animal kingdom. And just as one may imitate persons whom one sees dancing and singing, similarly the soul, although never the doer of material activities, is thus forced to imitate the qualities of the intelligence, what's controlling the mind, based on the modes of nature. So, this is it. this is nice. He's saying in later in the chapter, he says, therefore, O Uddhava, do not try to enjoy sense objects. Why? Because these are not going to be the thing that makes you happy. And this is like the way we've been trained to seek happiness. You're not going to get it through tasting more things, seeing more things, hearing more things. All of these different experiences, especially young people, we're so experience-based. I need this experience, I need that experience, I need this experience. That's actually not how we're going to get it. Therefore, Uddhava, do not try to enjoy sense objects with the material senses. See that ignorance, based on false identity with the body, which produces non-attainment of the self, it means like it's a false reality. We're living, it's like a dark again, but I kind of thrive off this. Like we're living lies. Like we're living a lie. Like this is not, don't do this. You don't want to live a lie. So what's he say? Even though pulled from his house, disrespected, mocked, found full of faults, tied up, beaten, deprived of one's occupation, spat upon, polluted with urine by materialists, or agitated by ignorant people, this is Krishna speaking, a person who desires the highest goal in life should endure those difficulties and should deliver himself by his intelligence. We should know that this has nothing to do with me. Even if somebody, I'm so disrespected. There's so many times, especially at times, I get in the illusion that I'm thinking I'm in some authority position. That some people should listen to what I say. Oh man, and then if somebody dares challenge that position of mine, they get angry with them. But actually, Krishna is saying all these, things, if you're disrespected, if you're mocked, found full of faults, even if someone pollutes you with urine, what? Like someone peed on you, you don't even care. Like the person in full intelligence, they understand. Well, that has nothing to do with me. How do you guys think we would do? Over the smallest thing, we get so upset. The smallest things, we get so upset. But all of these things, Krishna is saying, just endure these difficulties, and you should deliver yourself by your intelligence. But then Uddhava, because he's quite intelligent, he's like, oh, best of all speakers, please explain to me how I may properly attain such discrimination to remain tolerant. And that will be for next week. Because we got to leave a little cliffhanger. But yeah, we should learn to tolerate these things. We should understand because why? They have actually nothing to do with who we are. And the disrespect that we feel, the what we're actually feeling, this is all a game of the mind. This is all a misidentification with your body. So rest yourself in knowledge, actually. Understand, Yes, this isn't jnana yoga, and this is technically part of the jnana process. But actually, some jnana is necessary for bhakti to formulate. And I want to leave everyone today with I'll stop sharing this. A really nice verse. I think it's 4 verses, also from this Uddhava Gita. I would recommend every one of you read the Bhagavatam and get to the Uddhava Gita. It is just so nice. I think it's, if I remember correctly, 19. Okay, here it is. I'm just going to read the English. These are the things that help you develop bhakti. This is what we do here. If you want to know what to develop bhakti, these are the things. This is said in 4 verses. Krishna says, firm faith in the narration of my sweet pastimes, constant chanting of my glories, like kirtan or even reciting Krishna's pastimes and activities, unwavering attachment to my worship, praising me through verses, great respect for serving the deity, offering obeisances with the entire body, performing extensive worship of my devotees, consciousness of me and all living entities, offering of ordinary bodily activities in my service, use of words to describe my qualities, offering the mind to me, rejection of all material desires, giving up wealth for my sake, renouncing material sense gratification and material happiness, performing acts of charity, offering homa or different like sacrifice, usually do like fire type of sacrifices and offering to me, chanting japa, performing vows like Akadashi as austerity with the purpose of achieving me. By these activities, those human beings who have surrendered themselves to me develop bhakti for me. What other result could remain for my devotee? So this, I'll conclude here. These are some of the activities that we all do. I highly recommend that you guys start on the path of, living your truest and fullest selves, which is in service to the divine, because that's who you are, that's what you were created to do. Just like when a spark flies out of the fire, it's not very successful. Or when a branch falls off of a tree or a leaf falls off of a tree, it dries up and withers. And lifetime after lifetime, us trying to live separate from the source of our sustenance or our existence causes us to wither and die, quite literally. And this is not... we should be tired of this activity. We should be tired of this suffering that birth, death, disease, and old age are bringing us. And to engage in this process of controlling the mind, practicing yoga, and in the highest form of this is bhakti yoga. So please, I humbly beg you to join in one of our great closing. We're going to do like an arati worship. Mukunda is going to offer arati. And we're going to do what you guys did earlier, the kirtan, the chanting the Lord's holy name. And just know this is what we should do. These are activities that are going to help us. We want to reconnect to the divine. We want real knowledge. We want real life. We want like real happiness. So please don't continue if you've diagnosed that you're living with your greatest enemy and your greatest enemy is causing you to live in a way that's not fully satisfactory. To know there's solutions for that. And you don't have to keep trying this thing and that thing and this will eventually make me happy. That there's a systematic approach to do this. Krishna he's not leaving anyone bereft. And there are certain people like myself and Bhakta Ben and Bell and Tesh and Mukunda and who, and Prerna after only 3 months, and they're practicing and they're noticing like a significant change. Udit too, over there. A significant change in their life. But don't think that, I'll just come on Sunday and that's great. We want you to come every Sunday. But, don't think that's going to solve all your problems. There's a science to solve your problems. And it's the science of yoga, bhakti yoga. So please, we humbly beg you all to join us in this science, and that it's not, there's a systematic way to go through this all. And we're here to help. And also, we're not perfect. We make plenty of mistakes in the process ourselves, but luckily we have nice guidance. And we also have plenty of help from Krishna himself, who will continue to help the sincere devotee. So, thank you guys. That's going to be our class for today. I should mention, we're a little late on time. Do you guys have any questions or anything you'd like to know before Kirtan? Anything from anyone? Comment?
Very nice class, bro.
Very nice class. Hare Krishna. Thank you. All right, so we will